And just like that, we are back with another Inside the Festival talk. Today, I have my co-host, Romy Rome, is in the building, Sideline Sports and Entertainment on Sidelines Bahamas. Romy Rome, what's good?
Well, Af, it's always a pleasure to be on this platform with you. Again, hey, looking forward to today's conversation. And with that being said, we have none other. I cannot say enough about this gentleman. He is definitely one of the, I can't even say up and coming. He has established himself as I'm going to say the word. I'm going to say he's established himself as a superstar, man. And I'm saying that because we've had conversations in the past. Just to listen to his conversation, his thought process is phenomenal. And with that being said, BahaMian Trae, go ahead and let people know you're here, man.
Much love, man. I'm so happy to be here. Big up to the squad. Africa Allah, you know how to sing. Go Romy Rome, player from the Himalaya, you know how to sing. Go. Much love.
Now, Trae, for those that don't know much about you, you're from Abaco, right?
Right. Well, I was born in Abaco and I moved as a young kid and then grew up most of my life in Nassau.
So do you think that your upbringing or your that island, that real island feel, because you were born in Abaco, your parents are from Abaco?
Yes, both of them for sure, and most of my family for sure. So I would travel a lot, like for summer, like anytime whenever school wasn't open, I was in Abaco, for sure.
So do you think that family island upbringing kind of influenced the way you think and the things that you do as an adult?
I'd say so for sure, and not in a bad way to say as if there's something wrong with being different, but it's this kind of thing where I realize more as well as becoming an adult that each island, because of the separation, and even if there was a separation, even if the separation wasn't by water, I still think there would be a separation of how, based on how you set up wherever, which part you might be on the island, manipulates the culture. Because people in Abaco don't act like people in Freeport, which is also the same as people who don't act like the people in Exuma and Elutra. All of these places will give you a totally different Bahamian experience. So it's like in Abaco, it's even with the way most people who, if you have a conversation with them, and I say that's right, but it's our demeanor, it's the way how the family dynamic is, like the love is so different and the camaraderie it's normal to know. I talk about your grand cousin them and thing and your grand this, and like I talk about like family net is so amazing when it comes to the family island. So I have so much great memories with the cousins that I spent time with on the family island. My aunt who would have instilled plenty wisdom, because I mean so many times, sitting on, they telling stories or certain stuff, and when it comes to even having fun, like little backyard parties and stuff, like learning how to dance and learning how to like just have fun and things like that, it was because of these same family island experiences and stuff like that. And then of course being able to reference these experiences in music afterwards, like it's like, yeah, right, no, but going through these certain stuff, and this was how my experience was like.
Now, quite a few years ago, I was introduced to you by a gentleman named Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown hit me up on the phone, and he was like, "Yo, Ev, I got this dude. He's like 15," and I was like, I had given up on the whole representing Bahamian artists because I just gave up on it. But anyway. And that's another story for another day. But
another story.
I remember hearing about you, and then the song Malgo came out, right? And then it was just on from there. You was just this name that kept popping up in popular culture, and very much so amongst the youth. Even so, to the point that I'm in Atlanta or I'm in New York, and I'm hearing this song, and I'm like, wait, hold on, now this is really
crazy.
And it just says a lot, because that particular sound wasn't exactly traditional Bahamian music, but it wasn't rap either. So what was it?
What was
the sound? What is the sound of BahaMian Trae?
The sound of BahaMian Trae, one thing I can say for sure is the one foundational, consistent thing will always be the Bahamian dialect. So I remember plenty times coming up in school, naturally, and it's crazy that we did this, right? But naturally, whenever we used to rap battle a lot of times in school, we just used to do it in our Bahamian dialect. And I'll never forget what really solidified it this one time. It was this one dude who, when we was battling one time. He tried come, I mean, and not like he was bad, but he was coming with his American accent, and people was, ooh, like, people was feeling, and he was crazy with EY. But it's like, it was almost literally just like how, if you ever remember that collage them video where they was doing that rap battle and that storm, man, and he was chicken in the mic. It was like the way the crowd freak out just because. I mean, I wouldn't say that it was just because of you rap doing it in your dialect, but it was just this energy that it just used to put in the area wherever we was whenever we was doing it. So it came naturally when I started to actually write music. Started to say like, okay, this was what I wanted to do in terms of making songs. So when it comes to my sound, you will hear possibly maybe a rap beat or a dancehall beat or a BahaMian Trae beat, but for whatever genre it is, you will always get that BahaMian dialect.
So Trey, something, and again, just touching on the aspect with you using Bahamian dialect, how did you find that to actually be a problem, or did you find that to be a hindrance? Were you well received with the Bahamian dialect, and not just in the Bahamas? I'm talking like outside of the Bahamas. How were you received with that?
What's so amazing? Okay, I could tell you the craziest part about the level of pushback and then the level of acceptance. So locally, for sure, immediately when it started, like I say, that the energy that it evoked was something that literally can't be explained. Like the way how people just gravitated toward it so much across all generations. The Bahamian populace at large just immediately loved it. And when it started to go beyond the borders, I noticed that what I find with also, for me, I ain't gonna lie, energy is a big thing for me. Mindset is also a big thing for me, right? So when I started to really become a student of the game and start to try to learn about so many different things and look into so many different genres and how they would have elevated in their pursuit, it was like, I realized that even if you look at rap from a regional standpoint, there were dudes in the South who was rapping at a time and people were saying they couldn't understand them. Can you imagine there was a point in time when Andre 3000 first came out and they like, wait, what is this? We don't understand what they're saying. Could you believe that? Because that's what people were saying. Because it was new, but because the accent was different and nobody never was hearing nothing like that before. But hey, listen to who we talking about though. We talking about Outkast. So it wasn't as if Outkast wasn't able to still stamp their foot into the game to show people like, say, literally the South got something to say. You know what I mean? So it was, bro. For me, I realized that no matter where you're from, you could literally not be speaking English like Alina, or you could literally have your own certain unique dialect, and no matter what, if you're coming through authentic, people to gravitate towards that lightly. And I've seen it as I look into different genres, you look into different timelines, it's always proven to be true. No matter how you look at it, when you're authentic, when you're truly yourself, people can gravitate towards you. People can gravitate. So I didn't get any push, but I say that to say basically I didn't get any push. Like people loved it too. Like the people in Barbados, the people in Guyana, the people like Africa mentioned. I remember one time I had a friend who was in New York the other day for real. Going in the club, they didn't request the song, they just was in the club, and then they pull out their phone because one of the tunes was playing in the club. So it seems like that I know that as well, because too, I think because we think that maybe we are a small country, but at the end of the day, we think that a lot of times because we're small, and at times we look at our culture and we do see the uniqueness in our culture. I think at times we may think that causes us to not be able to resonate with a lot of people or be able to relate to a lot of people, or a lot of people might not be able to relate to us. You would be surprised, if we break it down even further enough. It's like, yeah, bro, you would be surprised to know how much people would resonate with what you have to offer just off of certain little different things. For example, let's say if we just look at it as a blanket statement and say, okay, someone being introduced to my music for the first time might be from a different Korea or something like that. We might be able to just relate off the fact that, hey, you come from this side of the world, a lot of people find you misunderstood, and now you might be from this side of the world and people find me misunderstood, and then boom, that's a connect. So it's always these different themes that draw people, like I say, to this light once you radiate it, and it's you be authentic and you be yourself.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that about just being authentically yourself. I remember for me growing up, just watching our Bahamian music evolve. I remember, there were critics that said that, hey, Bahamian artists, they have to change their dialect or have to use words. Yeah, that they got to use words that are more global. And then for me, I was like, well, hey, what happens with like dancehall, soca, other Caribbean music? And I was like, they don't change their dialect. They use words that are, I guess more popular or with their culture. And I was like, people gravitated to it. So what's the difference with us? I agree with you. Like you said, once you're authentically yourself, hey, it's gonna shine through, and yeah, people will gravitate to you. And just on music, hey, if it's good music, people can gravitate to it.
Real.
Well, when you talk about being authentically yourself, I'm sure that you've gotten pushback from Bahamian artists that say that what you're doing isn't Bahamian music. Just because you're a Bahamian doesn't make it Bahamian music. What do you say to people like that? And how has that train of thought affected your representation at Bahamian festivals?
I adore this question so much because I definitely know you've been seeing me in your comment section on TikTok when you posted the clips of the interviews you had with different people talking about this very same thing, right? And it's so interesting that from like even Rome say from time there was this conversation, right? And I could be honest with you, it's so crazy coming into the game as a teenager and being enthusiastic actually to meet a lot of legends in the game or people who just of course was already in the game before me. It's like, you would be excited to want to hear from the people you either been listening to recently as well from, radio or grew up listening to just off of, culture. So a lot of artists, believe it or not, currently as well, still don't accept that what I do is all from a Bahamian perspective because it's the interesting thing about it for me. The only thing that is problematic when it comes to stuff like that is because the proverbial gate that we've always talked about when it comes to gatekeepers, right? That I feel like that for the most part, that gate around that time at least from when I came out, I feel like that gate has been broken down for the most part in a sense where I feel like you could thrive in this industry without having to go through the same avenues that you felt like hoops and loops that you felt like you had to go through at a point in time in the industry, right? For right now, though, there's still these things where you have certain legends who still in the game who feel this way, right? But now they also have certain positions of power. So now with the positions of power, they say, okay, if they feel like this toward BahaMian Trae, the truth is, if there are certain people who do feel this way, which there are, and they're on these certain committees, which they are, I'm not booked for a lot of those shows. So I found a pushback with that, but that never deterred me and that never stopped me because at the end of the day, I say, it's not like as if I've never done with that. It's one thing I just say, so Andres has been one island that like almost every year, but Andres has been super supportive. Certain other islands I've done Freeport a lot too, but not a regatta or homecoming. But like different islands I would go to, but not for regattas and homecoming. So it's always been interesting to me though, because interesting enough, like you have artists like Jay Mitchell, Smokey 007, Wendell Stott, so many other artists from like talking about the 70s and 80s who didn't just do the traditional sound. They did different stuff. They did soul. They fused as well. Like that's what the whole funky NASA is. Like they was like, all right, we can bring funk and we can bring this and we can bring this to that and we call it funky now. It's not as if fusions in a sense is like this new thing. But it's crazy to see how with how certain people feel about it nowadays. It's like they just have their agenda and how they like things to be. But for the most part, like I say, it's never stopped me. Every once in a while, I feel like there's always someone that ends up in a room that mentions my name through the grace of God. That's how I end up on a lot of these different stages at times. Like, I just be grateful for that. Like, I just be saying to myself, like, I don't fight for y'all ain't looking at me for the regatta, the homecoming. But it's like, all right, cool. I start to still show love when I see the people who I know don't feel a certain type of way about me, and I still push my music out to not just the local market but different markets as well, because my main intention, as what I could see a lot of people for sure see, is that I've been branching into the wider Caribbean for sure as of recently. So that's my main focus.
Trae, so you touched on a couple of things in your response there, and just for me, I always had the belief, or I guess I adopted the belief that, hey, if it's a Bahamian artist doing the music is Bahamian music. Mind you, they might fuse different genres, or just like you said, like even with the whole funkiness, or yeah, hey, there's different genres of music, but hey, if it's a Bahamian singing or if it's a Bahamian involved, yeah, to me it becomes Bahamian music. So
And you
again, I
and
think
Ronnie Butler felt the same way.
yeah. Okay, so again, I feel you have done an awesome job of tapping into these different genres and also bringing that fusion as well, and again, claiming it as your own, or putting that Bahamian stamp on it. So again, I
And watch this,
gotta salute you on that.
I appreciate that, babe, because watch this, it's only this simple thing. I know people have been trying to have the conversation for so many years and trying to ask the question over and over, right? I ain't even gonna ask the question because I know what the question that people just love to ask. However, it's the thing when it comes to that question is just this way. We have Bahamian genres, and then you also have sub-genres. You see what I'm saying? So there are derivatives of genres that came from certain stuff to say, like, okay, what Papa Smurf does is Bahamian rap, because he takes rap and he puts it on his dialect, and now it turns into something totally different. What my boy them did was Bahamian rap. They was taking these, you see, they saying boom bop vibes, and then making it, flicking over the ocean and over the sea. Like, these were scenes what was in freaking, like, you see what they saying? Like, so when it comes to this, it's like the same concept with K-pop. Nobody is saying Korea is, and like pop is indigenous to Korea, but we know that Koreans make pop music, so this is K-pop. And if you ask what music do Koreans make, you will get K-pop as an answer, and that is Korean music. You see what I'm saying? So simple. So it's the same concept. Like, you have sub-genres in our country, and you've had Bahamian reggae, you've had Bahamian this, Bahamian that, whatever like that. Whether or not if we coined a specific name for it, whatever it is, it's Bahamian this, Bahamian that. Because again, it's not as if you clean in the genre by putting Bahamian in front of it, but it becomes it when, like you say, if it's a Bahamian involved. And like I mentioned, like, bro, you and Ronnie Butler felt the same way. And when I see someone like him having a stance like that, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, ain't much people can tell me anything different when it's someone like him who had a stance like that. I follow it, what he said. You know what I mean? I trust his judgment when it comes to this thing. Yeah, but like, I feel like it's so crazy, dog. It definitely is something that we should be able to now, for sure, move fast. I think hopefully we get there, but we just need to get past us.
This is an age-old conversation. Unfortunately, as long as our elders are
alive.
You don't want to say that, but as long as our elders are still with us, we'll continue to have the conversation, because there are people that no matter how much facts you bring to them, they refuse to hear anything but their position.
Real.
Now, as we move into this, I've noticed that you've adopted the bashment sound. And again, like I said, I'm not really, like, I can't really pinpoint what your sound is. And this is even from as early as 15 when you started. Like, I've never been able to really pinpoint what your sound was. But more important, to hear you on the Bashment records from Barbados, I start to realize that, maybe you was already onto something before you was onto something. So,
you know what I mean?
I got in a call from someone and they were like, hey, I want this guy on this show. And I was like, okay. And it was like, you could get him? I said, who is it? So they sent me the record. I said, I just seen this person.
Wow.
And I said, that's just how God works. I just saw you probably a week prior to getting this call.
That's crazy.
And they were like, yeah, but this song, but he ain't Bahamian. I said, what do you mean he ain't Bahamian? I said, he from Abaco. He's like, no, hey, shut up.
Oh my God.
Because if it reached that far, you understand what I'm saying? If it reached that far till this person is like, hey, I want this person, because it doesn't fit into the traditional lens or scope of what we consider Bahamian music person. It's the same thing with when the introduction of Carnival came. Bahamians felt that they needed to sound like soca music in order to make it, right? And then as we got indoctrinated into the circuit, they
Mm-hmm.
wanted the Bahamian artists. They
Mm.
didn't just want the soca. They didn't want the Bahamian soca artists. They wanted the rake and scrape. They wanted sounds of Junkanoo. They wanted the feel. They wanted the heartbeat of the Bahamas. So now
Mm-hmm.
with you doing the bashment, tell me how that happened.
That happened honestly through when I reached out to Father Phyllis, right? Because to be
What do you
honest, I
mean reach
like
out?
pardon.
What do you mean reach out? You knew him?
I hit him up online. At the time, I didn't know him, and I don't think he knew of me. But I hit him up online. Yeah, but I just hit him up, like I don't know what was going through my mind that day, but I hit him up online, and at that point in time too, I was shooting shots like that. Like I just was like, you know what, let me see what would happen. And I was always a big fan of his when he first came out, because I was like, wait, seeing conversation of what we talking about is from that scope, he stands in that same integrity that I do. Whereas it's like, bro, I from Barbados, and I can go on this song and I can sound like I'm from Barbados. And I was always telling myself when he first came out, like, but if we do something together, it was crazy. So I messaged him, hit him up, and then he was down. Like, you know what I mean? He was down to work on something. So he sent me some beats, and when he sent me one beat, and when I heard it, I was like, yo, I got something for this. And I sent him a voice note of what I had for it. He was like, yeah, but that's well, he didn't say yeah, but he's like, yeah, that's the one. Like, we definitely record that. Pop. So I went to the studio, recorded it, and then that song became Abaco. She like, but she can't take. Boom. After that came out, also getting a chance to connect with the producers that he works along with. It happened where there's a producer that he works closely with called Don Ryder. Don is like one of the most down to earth people you could ever meet. He's super freakishly talented, and he's produced a lot of great songs, different soca artists as well. One of the most recent ones that I'm sure you would know would be the Funnels rhythm, which is the song that Lady Lava has for Bob the Builder.
Oh yeah, we definitely know that one.
So Don Ryder would be the producer for that, and that should give you an idea of the type of sound and the type of vibes that he's beyond. When after I met Father Phyllis, and then we also got a chance to do a show in Guyana together, and I ended up having to do a connecting flight to Barbados. I got to meet him in person and stuff like that, and we was sifting through beats and stuff like that, and it was really cool because like I say, like you said, like the sound felt like you say, like it was like, okay, it feels like it's something connecting here, because the rhythm itself, the way how bashment is to me, I ain't gonna lie, really infectious. So I found myself fitting really well, especially as someone with this different accent, this different vibe. I feel like that's a lot of what bashment even stand for too. Like, it's like, okay, it is from Barbados, but it's like, okay, this is me down, you know what I mean? Or this unique way of speak, I guess.
So Trey, I gotta tell you my little experience, or my experience when I first heard you on the rhythm, and even watching the video. So we know each other personally outside of I guess radio or the airwaves.
Man.
So I was like, silently, I've been like, man, I can't wait. And I think I've told you this before. Hey, I am excited. I couldn't wait. I can't wait to hear you drop new stuff. When I saw you come on, I was like, whoa, hold on, Trey stepping out. He's like, hey, you really going into outside of the hip hop, outside of the rap, outside of the reggae, outside of the norms, I should say. And yeah, definitely delved into, like you said, the bashment sound. And again, like you said, a phenomenal job. I love the video. The video is great work, man. So I gotta say, keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep it up, man. I can't wait to get you back on. I'm hoping somewhere during this carnival season that we get to see you on a lot of stages performing, man. And folks, if you're listening, you need to get Trey on your shows.
No. I was just saying, like, I appreciate that fully, man. Like, it means a lot hearing it from y'all, and getting that, because it really fuels the fire. It really helps to reassure that you're doing something right. It's like, when it comes what to expect from BahaMian Trae, is like I say, you'll always get that Bahamian dialect, but I like to I like to dive into different sounds, you know. Right now, I feel like Bashman and Zest is a very connecting place for me. I will always dive into different stuff, but you will mainly definitely get mostly Caribbean vibes from me from here on for sure. Like, of course, can't forget home. You know, for sure, can't forget home. So that's for sure. But you're gonna see a real creative side of me in these next couple of, I would even say weeks, because there's some things in the work. Because big up the DJ Bravo. He made a very big request at an event, and I agreed, and I can't go back on it now. But he said I need to drop a soca to him before the season comes. So that is definitely gonna get recorded this coming week, and that should be touching road this month.
Look how we can have special things.
My
Yeah, man.
Atlanta, you hear this?
It's
New
free.
album coming from BahaMian Trae, and you guys will be the first to hear it on the road for 2026 Atlanta Carnival downtown. Anyway, before I even get into that, and sorry, that was a preamble. Before we even get into that, coming from the new kid on the block too, who is now a veteran in the game.
Man, that make my heart smile even there. You say that. Oh my God! Wow.
Legends like Ronnie Butler and KB teach you about keeping your career alive for the long haul.
I could say for sure, knowing that Ronnie Butler was in the Caribbean Hall of Fame. Still, I mean, he is in the Caribbean Hall of Fame. Knowing that he spent 3 years into the game, that to me, 50 plus years into the game was like crazy to me, because I mean, I can tell you now, if you think things hard, or if you thought things was hard a couple of years ago, I could only imagine how hard it may have been as a black young man coming up in this country trying to pursue creative career and wanting to maybe push the norms a little bit and all these different things, like, and then also do that at a quality standard level. I am sure without a doubt that was not easy. Coming from going into 60s, 70s, I got like what he taught me for sure was resilience. But getting a chance to work with him was for sure all due in fact to, like you mentioned earlier, Charlie Brown and Reality. Gotta give enough respect for them being able to make that happen, because I definitely wasn't being able to make that happen on my own. But when it did, it created a connection and it bridged the gap. And afterwards, Ronnie Butler was also really open to continuing on with stuff like that. Like, I remember I got a chance to see him in the hotel at the time when a hurricane was happening. I got a chance to stay. Like, I saw him there, and even there we got a chance to stop and chat, and he was talking about how he wanted to do more things. And it's like, you know, it just was so heartwarming to see that not only he wanted to work, but seeing that even at this age, you still on stage. Like, you see what I said? Me, I mean, you know, I can be honest with you. Like, I I'll always, as a young youth, always respect my elders. But I have my good things, but then I also have some bad things when it comes to KB, where it's like, I'll be honest, the learning experience doesn't necessarily come from anything direct with him, but it's like, I probably would have done that differently, and I think that's where the learning experience comes from when it comes to KB. There's no, like, disdain, there's no disrespect, there's no, like, you know, I have nothing but respect for him for the way that he's offered his life literally to, you know, wake it straight, and how he's offered a lot of his talent to not just his production, but the way of how he's done production for other artists and stuff. I would, well, let me not just say to just push the culture forward, because for some people, to be honest, it don't just be to just push culture forward. But I have respect for him, but like learning from ones like him, I would say for a lot of the elders, Ronnie Butler, Phil Stubbs, Ancient Man, I don't want to start calling names, but I could just be real. Jay Mitchell, to be honest, Elon Moxie, these were some of the, Peanut Taylor, these were some of the people that were actually, when it came to the feeling accepted as a young artist, I didn't never question their feeling of how they felt about me or how they felt about anything when it comes to a young artist. Were separate from me. I like, those are some people, some names I could call to say that these were people that I love, and these are people that I know I could sing love me on a human to human level, on a yeah, I want to see you prosper level. But it's not
Hey,
many of those. If
but
I
you
can
know
be honest.
something, even just those few names that you call, that's a heavyweight list there, my Trey. I gotta say, you name from my perspective, you name all the heavy hitters there. Like you named off like Peanuts Taylor again. Some of the names I feel that hey we need to promote even more. I know you're a big fan of Ancient Man as
Really,
well. I mean, like yeah, his work. You know, I know you're a big fan of Ancient Man, and I was like, his work is phenomenal. Jeez, there's so many people that you named on that list, man. Again, just giving them their flowers and to know that they support you, they poured into you. You know what? It shows. It shows. Shouts out to all the elders that take the time out to actually pour
real,
into the youth,
real,
to the up and comers, man. And
real.
even somebody that reminded me, even I'm not saying that you left him off the list, but even just looking back at some of the people who have taken the culture and pushed it forward, even Eddie Minnis, a little while back, he had a resurgence of a lot of his songs. So again, shouts out to all those folks that poured into you and to all of the up and coming artists, man.
Yeah, man, and see the reason why I don't even feel anyway about calling names too is because I know because of the real people that I know are real people, they wouldn't even feel offended by me maybe getting a chance to forget. Yeah, that saying not they're not saying their name type wise. Like you know what I mean? There's like and then there will be ones who may feel a way, but it's like these would be the ones who it really like when it comes to like you said, like people who poured into bro, like people who like never given you no feeling as if blah blah blah. Like part of the poet, if I keep it on the top of my head too, is like another one. These are people who I could say
Yep.
like yeah. I mean I hate going through the list thing, but I just was feeling passionate about that just now for a second because I ain't gonna lie, we need to start to have conversations like these more where we be real as possible. And when it comes to as well, like you say, mentorship is so important. I will never not get it. I will never not let myself not take the chance to mention even people like Charlie Brown in reality when it comes to the conversation of mentorship, of how I always mention that if it wasn't for that level of mentorship, I wouldn't have been where I is. There's a lot of people who if I be honest, they don't to be honest, like I mean there's a lot of people who've gotten burned through going through experiences like that with people, and it's so totally understandable, but like a lot of people don't have no interest in it because there's people who may not be directly involved in like where it might seem like blah blah blah, but there's ways how they still, when it comes to wanting to see another young artist move forward, they don't mind facilitating in any type of way, even if it's just information, even if it's just a conversation, even if it's just saying, hey, yeah, I these are some ways how you can move forward in this world, in this industry, or just as a person, there aren't much elders who are currently in the music industry who saying to themselves like, okay, what am I actively gonna do to push the next generation forward for the culture without it having to necessarily benefit me in the process? You know
After
what I
high
mean?
school, what moved you to radio? Like, was that the natural progression, or what moved you to radio? And tell us or walk us through that journey.
You want me to be completely honest? At the time when it came to, again, mentioning Charlie Brown in reality, at the time when Exile Media Group first started, of course, with reality working, being in the radio industry, I would have a lot of times end up around the radio station, right? And it at first used to seem like a very like a mystical place at first, and then it became like a comfortable place to just end up being at. Not ever at that point in time, like as if I had an interest in it at that time, but there were certain points where it was like, this is interesting in its art form. Like, I remember listening to Adventures of Odyssey, driving home and things like that. Like, radio was always like a thing that I appreciated in its art form. What really, 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 really made me me get into radio, if I be honest with you, was at the time my dad and we was having like a really rough stint in our relationship, right? And we were having I know this might seem really personal, but you can see why I want to have this conversation public. We was having a rough stint in our relationship where we were arguing over this idea that at the time I had just come out of school, like you mentioned, going into radio. Before that, I was in, quote, working to him, right? And the conversation was that he wanted me to get a job because you're out of school now, blah, 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 this, that, and the next. And I'm explaining to him how, man, like, I know music. Like, I know that if I do the right things, like, and I apply these formulas, I should be able to get a product of me putting in this practical work. Like, you see what I'm saying? So this all I taking and we going back and forth, and this end up getting really, like, dirty. Like, I talking about, like, it was something that almost tarnished our relationship, but we end up forgiving each other and everything like that. And we had that conversation and it was like, okay, we cool now. And I started to consider an idea of, quote, getting a job. I still, at the end of the day though, was like, music is gonna, like, I don't want to do that. But I started to think about it a little bit after we let bygones be bygones. But I still was like, okay, I'm still gonna do my own thing, because that was what it was. Like, it was an agree to disagree kind of thing. But it was like, okay, now we move forward. And then Hurricane Dorian happened and he passed away. And like, for me, during that time, I just started to think about so many different things when it came between me and him. Not just recent conversations, but growing up and all these different things. One of the things that just stuck with me was just that I was like, one of the things that he wanted from me was for me to try this. And I, like, again, at first when it was just something like, I started to think about it a little bit, but kind of disregarded it. After the Hurricane Dorian, it was like I started to really ponder and I started to really say, you know what, let me take heed to what he said. At the time, I had a radio interview with Cam the Comfort at 194. We talking and we going through, we chopping it up on there and stuff like that. And then I was sitting there and I just was looking around in the room and I was like, well, y'all hear it? And at the time, the answer was no. But they was like, they would be open to, he'd be open to having a conversation with Big L and I'd be able to intern there. And that's what happened. So I started off as an intern and eventually ended up being on air. It felt really good, but like it was something that felt really solid. And then I started to look at radio as something as well to sharpen also my conversational skills or also my public speaking skills. I started to really take it seriously when it came to going on air, because the conversation we was having off the record, like I started to actually look at this as, hey, this is a face that is from a journalism capacity, and there are things that also I was being told and taught that, hey, when it comes to this, like, this is why you have to take this seriously, and this is how you need to approach this as a folk job, but then art form. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I started to learn who, what, where, why, blah, 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 all of that, this, that, and next, and it was like, okay, starting to get to understand this and see how this could have benefited how I could become basically a better artist. At the time, to be honest, too, radio was something that I immediately told myself that, okay, I don't feel like writing right now, because I started to really and truly go into a deep depression after Hurricane Dorian happened. Then the pandemic happened in March after that. So it was like I just wasn't in the right headspace. Radio at the time was a platform that allowed for me. I made the decision to say, like, okay, I'm going to use this to be a space that allows people to just still know that, hey, I ain't got nowhere. But right now, you're going to have to see a different side of me rather than seeing the music at the time that you would have frequently been using hair, because like I say, I just wasn't in the headspace. After I did come out of that headspace, after getting comfortable, in the space at 194, the first song I released after that was Back in Time. And then boom, like I was back in a good space. But radio, that's how radio started.
So being the one playing the records, did that change how you wrote records? And do you find yourself now thinking, will this work for radio?
I tell you, yeah, it was definitely something that started to train my ear in a certain way indirectly, because it was like, okay, that like at the time the programming, I believe, and still at more 94 is more so like the top 100. You would get the of course Caribbean stuff, but then you mostly, because it's an urban, I believe, station, so you would still get, of course, like a lot of what is on the billboard. So I was starting to hear a lot of songs, and I just was okay. I wasn't gonna be listening to this on my own, but I heard it, and it's like I liked it. It's like, you know what I mean. It started to, honestly, I mean, as a person who listens to lots of different music, for sure, right? I am able to appreciate a different genre of music, even if it's not something that I would usually listen to. So I was open to listening to these different songs. And if I be honest with you, at a certain point, I would not say that I don't or didn't prioritize radio play, but at a certain point, it was like, okay, I have certain songs that I think can be on radio, but at the same time, I was not mostly like, and still not mostly really prioritizing radio. So I wouldn't say like it manipulated the way that I wanted to write afterwards and say like, okay, I ain't a cuss and I ain't a care like this because I want, it was like, for that conversation, I more so, what I did was I read a book. It was this songwriting book by this guy. I forget his name because I think he was a German, so it's very hard to pronounce. Songwriting book that basically tells you how to, when it comes to the elements of what makes a commercial hit. It like I read that book. It's a songwriting book. It literally tells you how, from even a production standpoint, but also from a writing standpoint. Because also too, around that time, I was doing a lot of reading. Like I was at the time when the pandemic started, I started doing a lot of reading. So I read that book, and for that was how I, when it comes to writing, I read more. I don't think it was something direct when it came to radio, but indirectly, I'm sure that it influenced just my ear for certain songs. Just like naturally, I think that would have happened a little bit.
Talking about, going back a little bit, even to your stint at More 94, kind of reminded me of some conversations that we had, Africa kind of touched on how you being on radio has affected, or how has influenced you as an artist. One of the things I wanted to kind of ask or get from you is, being a quote unquote Bahamian artist, I guess what I want to ask is, do you feel pressured to write more songs or put stuff out there constantly? I know one of the conversations we had was like how a lot of our artists fall into this trap. Like, hey, I put out a song and you don't hear anything from them for like a year, 2 years, you know what I mean? And they still ride off of you. So with you being on the radio, has that affected you, or do you feel pressured to write more songs, or feel like, hey, I have to put more work out there?
You want to know something? That was something from a true, like, person to person thing that I had to, as a human, I had to really sit myself down and start to think about that concept, like, serious, because it was like, okay, that's how burnout is happening a lot of times, right? Because a lot of times you get into a certain flow, or you get into a certain mindset about what work looks like, and when you don't meet that certain criteria, that starts to play on your emotions even a certain type of way. Because guess what, that was happening to me, where there were lots of times, especially even like I tell you, after 2020, after Hurricane Dorian happened to me, I thinking to myself, bro, I was in a serious place of, oh my God, you're not doing enough. You know what I mean? And not as if I wasn't doing anything, but it's just, I always felt like I wasn't doing enough. So I had to like really stop and think about, okay, work. What does that look like? What is your pace? What is your goals? What is your short term, long term? Like what you doing, right? And I sit down and I was like, okay, like when it comes to the pacing of when it comes to how I present myself as an artist, as a overall creative, I also started to even get into acting as well during this time too, right?
Yep, yeah.
And I found myself allowing myself to say that, hey, BahaMian Trae as the brand is like, I know that when it comes to my creative endeavors, it's like music is something that I will always and I will always be passionate about. But when it comes to even the capitalism mindset behind it, it's like, okay, I know how I want to present myself in this business as well, because it is a business, but at the same time I want to be realistic in how I approach the business as well, because what a lot of artists will tell you, the reason why, for example, with Rake and Scrape, that you don't get a lot of Rake and Scrape songs throughout the year is what they ain't gonna tell you, it's very expensive. You feel me? So that's for Rake and Scrape.
Yeah.
It's getting better based on what the budget looks like, but it's very expensive still. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, big up to producers who are learning the art form, making it more accessible. But for the most part, traditionally, what we've known for the pacing of the industry to be like is like what it's like because of how expensive it is to blah, blah, blah. So I've been now also learning different approaches on how to present myself in the industry and in this business to be able to move like chess, though, like on a real vibe, like move strategically in the type of way where it's like I'm not pacing myself to what someone else is doing, but to what BahaMian Trae is doing, in the sense of, okay, yeah, I might have not dropped a song a couple weeks, but I was in a film that just won an award. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what does that look like for the relevance of how I'm presenting myself in the overall industry? It's like, nigga, I not to you, but I mean, like in itself, I'm like, I have to remind myself, like, nigga, you still here. Because, I was doing stuff like that, but telling myself I ain't doing enough just because I ain't dropped a song this week while it looked like the industry's still going. So it's like, yeah, but like when it comes to the pacing of how I try to approach it now mindset-wise, I had to really have a sit down and realize, okay, like when it comes to the approach, like, okay, for example, Adele. Well, you know Adele don't have that much songs out and released. You know what I mean? Like, bro, she has 4 albums and a total single. Not that much, like not that much. Like her total discography is not that extensive. But we're talking about Adele here. And at the end of the day, you wouldn't say like that's Adele. Like even with Rihanna right now, they begging her to drop music at the end of the day. But when you look at this discography, it's like, yo, like, and then when you look at the overall motive of the person as well, like, because Adele, you can tell that she's still being fulfilled as a entertainer, to say that she isn't feeling as though that she has to move at a certain pace, because you can tell that that's her pacing. Like, okay, I have these 5 albums. Maybe I might drop something else. Maybe I might not. Same thing with Rihanna. Maybe I might not. But you will see me in this a different aspect. And as well, you know, life as well as life. So you would also want things to happen at a certain time. But oh my God, let me tell you about planets. Like, bro, like. Like soldier life, like I find that out as well as an adult when it comes to really trying to plan your vibe also. Like it is be like, okay, let me see how I could get this time, and then this happens. And then, you know, Murphy Law, like, bro, like it happens. So that type of thing. But pacing, all these different stuff too, like cause now what that did with that had to really sit me down and think, okay, bro, there's gonna be things that you can control and there's gonna be things that you can't control. Like it was literally, like I say, bro, a fight that I had to fight in my mind to really realize, so what you doing, because I was going through a juggle in my head because of that same question that you asked. So like, how am I going to present myself? So yeah, but that's where I'm at now, mindset wise, towards that.
Well, you're presenting yourself in Atlanta, Georgia on May 23rd.
Good.
We're going to be in Atlanta, Georgia for the Atlanta Carnival downtown, and you are performing at the Bougie Bodega for the Rake and Scrape Backyard Cool Down. Now, after having listened to your radio show, I realized that this will probably be your first iteration of Carnival. Like, you've never done Carnival?
Yeah, I've never, ever.
What? I just feel like as many years as you've been doing Carnival, you've been there at some point, but that's wild.
Yeah, but like I mean the fat I just started to get to one or two, but as the road, no, I've never done road.
So
What?
before Bahamas Carnival, you gonna bust your cherry in Atlanta. Listen, we gonna
You know what I mean? And how ironic, right?
So
you
so
see how it is, right?
so like
I'm telling you.
let me tell you something, Trey, and it's funny, and this is crazy, right? So believe it or not, my first introduction to carnival on was, well, I remember doing caravana as like a young kid. I'm talking like preteen,
Mm.
like teenager. But my first introduction to carnival was actually in Atlanta at Memorial Day in my 20s.
Wow.
And since then, I have been a soca, a carnival junkie. So,
I think that says a lot. I think that says a lot. That says a lot. Oh boy,
I
definitely something to look forward to.
I tell
yeah,
people
so
all the time, like I lived on Eastern Parkway. Like I
Hmm.
lived on Eastern Parkway. I could come and walk on my fire escape on the second floor. My mother,
Wow.
my mother used to take us to Carnival in Brooklyn and to Caravana in
in Toronto.
Toronto. And
Hmm.
I would be like, "Oh my God, you're so embarrassing." Now, guess who's embarrassing people? Me.
Crazy,
Yeah,
bro. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So
yeah,
I
man.
love it, and I
what are
can't
your,
wait.
what are
Trust
your
me.
thoughts on traveling? Because wow, I was so surprised when you said that on air. I was like, I can't believe this. But
Yep.
with all of the stuff that is happening, and as I continuously say, Carnival opened up Bahamian artists to that carnival circuit. It's over 30
Mm-hmm.
now. It's over 33 carnivals around the world,
Yep.
and we're heading into the summer festival season. You might not get booked at the regattas, but opportunities like this allow you to be seen on a bigger stage, especially when you have
Mm-hmm.
collaborations with Bayesian artists and being a part of that Bashment sound. What
Exactly.
what is the thing that you're looking forward to, and how do you plan on parlaying these relationships into something more?
So definitely, what my main goal has been for the past 3 years has been to connect with our Caribbean brothers and sisters because if I be honest with you, I so like personally they do these are my beliefs when it comes to how much I believe how much we should stand firm on that connection and on that like camaraderie because I feel like each of us, all of us, have something to offer each other, not just in music, but in life. But for this specific thing, when it comes to music, I feel like there's so many different, when you think about culture to culture, like the resources that each other has to offer, like very so extensive. Like you have people who are well versed in this area or well versed in that area that can honestly like you can literally put together basically a dream team, like you know what I mean. And that's if we may not notice because it happens so seamlessly. Like this is how it's been happening because you have a lot of times we might see production happening coming from this country or coming from that country and we might think it's only solely this country involved, but that's how it's been for a long time. Like even for ones like Lester Adderley with Inner Circle, got a Bahamian and a part of Inner Circle. Like you know what I mean? And that's like people might not know that off rip, but it's like these are the connections that I feel like for us as a Caribbean country we thrive the most because we resonate with each other easily. Number one, because I mean just culturally as well. If I not saying as if someone from London or someone from America wouldn't be able to resonate as much as we within the Caribbean, but like I just saying like proximity and just
Yeah.
offer, as one region, like we do have a lot of things that we can relate and be similar on when it comes to even just infrastructure and economy and things. So like CARICOM, like you know what I mean? Like we could
Yeah.
just relate on there's so many reasons why we could connect on different levels of conversation or even like economics. So it's like for me, I crack the code in my head where I say like, bro, like I see the way how the wider Caribbean is very successful, or also that a lot of Bahamian artists as well who have been very successful, how through a lot of them they did this, where they built that Caribbean connection and they were able to thrive. You see what I'm saying? Especially in the more modern Bahamian music history, like you have ones like for sure Monty G, you have ones like Landlord, you have ones like Firelink, you have ones like Jahem would have benefited from the Caribbean connection, being an artist coming from this country, you know? So and also even Novi, the artists like Novi, a lot of her production came from Bayesian producers. So these things is when I look at back in hindsight and say to myself, mother, like a lot of my low-key like favorite songs when you look at it, and like, you know, it's like some of these songs may not just be like I say all Bahamian whatever type situation. You might have an instance over here where you have Novi, like I say, being produced by a Bayesian artist, or Lester Adley being a part of Inner Circle, or a Jahem being able to go Honduras to do a performance because you see what I'm saying? Like these are the, and because of maybe even having these connections with producers like Don Corleone and things, like it seems like that I realized that allow us to thrive. So I mean, not saying that it's something that can't be cultivated within this space. It's just for me right now, I just trying to think, right? And at the same time, this doesn't, to me, as well take away from what's going on with Rake and Straight or what's going on with any of our, you know, main indigenous genres or whatever like that. I think that we all should be able to thrive in whatever our goals are as well. Like, you know, I feel like what we also, as a wider Bahamian music community, need to also do is to do a better job at being aware of what I mentioned earlier, like what your goal actually is in the industry. This is my goal. This is not what I'm saying that everybody has to do, but this is my goal. So some other person's goal might be to just go get radio play, and that's it. Now they fulfilled. Now everything is fine and dandy for them. And that's okay, because guess what? If that was your goal, then you were successful because that was what your goal was. So someone else might have the goal to say that, yeah, they may want to just put the regattas in the homecomings and they just may want to only tour around the archipelagos. But for me, it's very intentional right now for me to want to connect within the Caribbean, because also I'm not going to pretend like I was not very also drawn to Caribbean music growing up, right? I love dancehall, I love soca, I love bouillon, I love these different genres of music that not just, you know, like fairly new ones that may be coming out and the sub-genres that may be coming out, but like I talking about what I grew up on too, like these, not just the Rake and Scrape I grew up on, but I also grew up on watching Sean Paul on Tempo and seeing songs from Marshall Montano on Tempo, and also, again, funny enough, seeing the same Monty G and seeing the same Landlord on Tempo. So it's like, yeah, but like this is what influenced me, like on a real level. So this is just for me, but this is my goal. I'm not saying that this has to be everybody why, but that's just me. But yeah, but like I plan to intentionally reach out to different producers and just see how we able to try a thing and just, you know, from a business standpoint, make it happen.
Well, on Saturday, May 23rd, we will be in Atlanta, Georgia for the Atlanta Downtown Carnival, and we're going to try a thing. Trey is
we gotta try a thing.
Truck along with the Atlanta Junction Group, and it's going to be big vibes. After the road, we are heading over to Bougie Bodega. It's Bougie Bodega, not Boogie Bodega, but we're going to be boogieing.
Hey!
Northwest Atlanta, over in Vine City, a stone throw away from the final lap of the trucks. If you are interested in participating, tickets are available on carnivalradio.live. That's carnivalradio.live. Tickets are $20 in advance. I suggest you get your tickets because it's going to be a great experience. While the parade this year is featuring Haitian culture. For another taste of small islands, you can head over to the Rake and Scrape Backyard Cool Down for a taste and the sound of the Bahamas. So we'll have cups, baggy.
Oh, God. I'm excited for that.
And everything that reminds you of home. For those of you that haven't been home in a while, the Bougie Bodega is where you want to be if you are in Atlanta or the South Florida area and you are interested in coming to Atlanta to celebrate the Caribbean, because, you know, I mean, Southwest no longer exists. So cheap tickets, it's easier to drive than to fly.
Mean
ATL
spirit.
ATL shouted. That is about our time. We're a little over, but I wanted to thank you so much for just chopping it up with us and having a wonderful conversation, kind of enlightening us about who you are in your entire journey. Romy Rome.
Hey, man. So again, Trey, I know I've said it before, but just for those folks listening, hey, anytime I get to have a conversation with you, is I leave inspired, because it's easy to get caught up in what I guess the whole saying, hey, what's left for the younger generation. Anytime I get to talk to you, I was like, yeah, but hey, this younger generation, they definitely have something to say. And man, just keep doing what you're doing, mate. Keep doing what you're doing. I can't say it any better.
So much.
Final words, Trey?
This conversation definitely meant a lot. My final words is, anybody listening to this, just continue to take life one step at a time, and you know what I mean? You could do whatever you put your mind to, especially when you got God on your side. So keep on doing whatever you want to do in life, or keep on pursuing, or keep on trying to get to where you try to go, or if you may not know right now, that's fine as well. At the end of the day, just keep on keeping on. But follow me on all social medias. Follow me at BahaMian Trae, whatever social media you're on. I bet you type that in, you'll find me. And so on the digital platforms as well, you can find my music there at the same name, BahaMian Trae. Thank y'all again so much. I really appreciated this conversation. Really.
With that being said, today's show is brought to you in part by Bahamas Carnival Fat Weekend. Bahamas Carnival Fat Weekend is happening June 3rd through 7th in Nassau, Bahamas. You can visit BahamasCarnivalGuide.com for more details and information. If you have not gotten your costume for the road, Island Rhythms Mass Band is now offering Road Wear 4, which is a big road parade. And again, we will be in Atlanta, Georgia on May 23rd, 2026 for the Atlanta Carnival downtown. After the carnival, we'll be heading to Bougie Bodega for the Rake and Scrape Backyard Cool Down. 100% Bahamian done, right? So you guys check us out. Thank you so much for tuning in to Inside the Festival Talk with BahaMian Trae.